Hello everyone, Cliff Dubenois here as I talk about the path to 1 million. This is episode 16. Thank you for watching. So I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 the other night, and as I was sitting there watching it, there was a scene where the good guys were locked up, and they needed Baby Groot, their friend, to go get him this tool to get out of prison. And so they described it to him. They said, well, it looks like, this, it's gray. It's about this long, and it has this blue thing on top. So Baby Groot, who's like maybe 3 or 4 inches tall, would run off and come back with a pair of like white underwear. And they'd be like, no, that's not it. It's gray. It's about this long. It's got this, blue mohawk on top of it, and Baby Groot would run off and come back with an eyeball. And they're like, no, that's not it. And Baby Groot would run off and he would come back with a finger. And it seemed like no matter how they described it to him, he could never bring back, the right tool that they needed to get out of there, which was, to me, it was really cute. And it reminded me of when I was a kid and my dad would be working on the car, or he would be working on, some kind of a project or something, and he would turn to me and he would say, go get me an Allen wrench. And I had no clue what an Allen wrench was, so I would walk over to his toolbox and I would pull something out and bring it over to him, and he would look at me and be like, no, that's not an Allen wrench. So then I would, go back to the toolbox and I'd fool the fish around again, come back to him, and he's like, no, that is not an Allen wrench. Of course, I had no clue what an Allen wrench was, and this would go on, and eventually he would get frustrated and he would just walk over to the toolbox and just, grab the tool that he would need. He would show it to me and say, this is an Allen wrench. And then he'd go back to, whatever it is that he was working on. And I know this happened quite a lot, and I've never been, very mechanically inclined. And eventually as I got older, I started learning what all these tools were. But, the thing is that really surprised me is the fact that, a lot of people don't understand, what the right tool is, or even how to use, the right tool. And I know that when I was developing my LinkedIn project, one of the things that people always say to me is that, well, I don't know how to use LinkedIn. And I can kind of get that, because Facebook really has spoiled us in the fact that pretty much anything that you put on LinkedIn is going to get spread to everybody out there. So you can post photos of, the dinner that you had last night, or, like I said before, the cocktail you had last week, or whatever it is. But LinkedIn's a completely different animal when it comes to doing it, and it's professional. And the thing is that people try to use LinkedIn, but the one thing that I see over and over again with LinkedIn is that the people that are sharing the articles on there are always offering up self-serving articles. Like the article deliberately points back to, a service that they offer, or questions that they will pose is some kind of a leading question that will dump right into their sales cycle, rather than trying to come from a place of contribution. And the thing is that online, people are actually really smart, and they kind of know and they kind of understand that, if you go out there and ask a question about something, that if they read the question and they click in your profile and see what your profile's about, then they'll know whether you're just asking a question just for general information or to start a conversation versus trying to sell them something. People are pretty smart that way. So, that was one of the things that I made sure that I baked into my LinkedIn program was, you have this great tool out there to use to be able to help you with your business, but how do you use the tool correctly? What's the right tool for the job? And so, I know as a kid, like I said, eventually I learned, what all the tools were through trial and error. And, so that way then when I got older, if my dad asked me what an Allen wrench was, it wasn't so much, the issue of bringing him an Allen wrench. It was more along the lines of where did he put the Allen wrench so I can find it again. That became the biggest challenge. But anyways, yeah, so that was just, making sure that you got the right tool, and more importantly, understand how to use that tool to, help others, and also to help yourself is extremely critical and very important. So anyways, I just wanted to share that little tidbit with you. I will be back again tomorrow with another story from the front. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Thursday. I will be back again, like I said, tomorrow. I'll see you then.